You'd think the biggest multiplayer games are the ones that bring us together. Counter-Strike, which has almost 2 million concurrent players, puts together 5 strangers for 30 to 50 minutes in a match against another team of strangers. Valorant does the same. Yet, on Payday 2, you don't even know the people you're heisting with most of the time, and somehow you feel more like partners than you ever did in the other games. 4 strangers run into a bank, probably with no prior plan discussion, and by the time the bags hit the escape van, you believe you've just pulled off a cinematic heist. What's going on? Why does a game without explicit team mechanics, without an esports scene, manufacture one of the strongest senses of teamwork in modern multiplayer? That's the mystery we're going to unpack together, right after I fix this drill. For those unfamiliar, Payday 2's loop is simple. Get to a location, complete your assigned objective, such as stealing gold from a vault, then escape, ideally with all of the loot. But simplicity belies design intent. Each heist that you do forces you into a world of complex interactions I like to call the criminal dependency loop. Think of it as a supply and demand system driven by heisters. Locks need picking, cameras need disabling, drills need fixing, and moneybags need moving. In a typical shooter, cooperation is an add-on, the polite thing you do if you're not selfish. But in the Payday franchise, cooperation is structural. You can't self-revive without specific skills, and carrying loot takes absolutely ages if you're alone. Sure, you might be the rare case that runs death sentence difficulty on 1 down, but that's like 1% of the player base. So, for the rest of us that prefer a more casual heist, the players you're with are not just teammates, they are the missing pieces of a machine. When you're carrying out heists with others, you don't feel like you're just helping them. You feel like you're completing yourself. 4 underpowered heisters come together to form an unstoppable heist crew that's ready to take on any challenge the game throws at them. And that's what makes Payday 2 so good. In my opinion, the game isn't just about sharing the experience of a heist, it's also about complementing each other, figuratively or maybe literally. The heists you carry out combine both challenge and skill so that every pager you answer without being caught, every assault wave that you fend off, and each drill that you inevitably fix keeps you in that sweet edge where you're neither bored nor panicking. And that, if you've seen my other videos, is exactly what flow theory is about. Flow theory describes a mental state of focus and immersion in an activity in which you feel fully engaged, lose track of time, and experience enjoyment in the process itself. A good example is when you said, "just one more heist," and ended up playing till 2 a.m. Flow theory is crucial for understanding why certain games are engaging and how game designers can create experiences that keep us, as players, motivated and satisfied. Games that have good flow provide players with clear, achievable objectives. Whether it's answering the phone on GoBank or finding the manager's keycard, knowing what to do next helps us focus our attention and effort. Then, through immediate feedback that gives us real-time insight into our actions, we can adjust our approaches and feel a sense of accomplishment whilst carrying them out, instead of just waiting for the end scene with all the scores and items you've acquired. Flow also requires a balance between challenge and skill, so the difficulty of a heist should match your skill level. If a heist is too easy, players become bored. If it's too hard, they become frustrated. The ideal is a balance in which the game adapts to the player's growing abilities, and in Payday 2, you quite literally control the difficulty of the contract you're willing to undertake, not to mention the approach, be it stealthy or loud. But none of that matters if you feel like you don't have a sense of control, because for flow to exist, players must feel that their actions matter and directly influence the game world, be it through responsive events like failing to answer a pager, meaningful choices like going stealthy, or the ability to experiment in your approach to a heist. All of these contribute to a sense of agency. I think that games that encourage flow generally minimize distractions and allow players to concentrate fully on the task at hand. So, good graphics, compelling narratives such as the deep lore of Payday 2, and intuitive interfaces, through the help of some mods, help maintain this focus. So yeah, flow theory is important, and Payday 2 does it well. Through challenges, feedback, and player agency, game designers facilitate flow, making heists not only more enjoyable but also more rewarding and memorable. And whilst all of this is happening, all of your behaviors, unbeknownst to you, are being reinforced through the process of operant conditioning. In Payday 2, Operant conditioning emerges through tiny feedback loops of cooperation, and this is where the game's design truly shines. The reward is not just the money you escape with at the end, but also the countless small moments during a heist, the positive reinforcements delivered in rapid succession. For instance, when the drill jams and a crew member rushes to fix it, while others provide cover, or when a medic bag is dropped just as the team is nearly out of downs, a surge of satisfaction follows. There is often no explicit plan or leader. Players simply react in the moment and are rewarded for it. Each time the team manages to fight off an assault wave and the vault finally opens, there is a genuine sense of relief and accomplishment. These moments are not just about acquiring loot. They are the result of the game constantly rewarding and reinforcing cooperative behavior, encouraging players to help each other coordinate and adapt. These reinforcements keep players engaged and motivate continued play. Over time, such conditioning shapes not only gameplay habits but also attitudes toward teamwork and problem-solving under pressure. And, by combining both flow theory and operant conditioning, Payday 2 ensures that engagement is not just fleeting. It becomes sustained, meaningful, and deeply habit-forming. These patterns of behavior, once established, often carry over into future heists without conscious awareness. Yet habit formation is only part of the equation. The environment of Payday 2, both visual and auditory, also plays a part in reinforcing and amplifying these psychological effects, crafting a setting that immerses us in the high-stakes mindset of a professional criminal and heightens the intensity of every decision. And those decisions occur in very deliberate and carefully crafted environments. So let's talk about it. Payday 2 looks and feels exactly like you'd expect a game about heisting to. The banks and offices are all carpeted, have cold-toned walls and glass, and are muted in muted blues and grays. It's the kind of place that feels official, strict, and a little cold, exactly what you'd expect from a big bank or a corporation building. Every map is built to make you feel like you're somewhere you shouldn't be. The inside of these places always feels kind of empty and impersonal, like no one really belongs there. But there's more to these maps than just how they look. The details tell their own story. Security cameras, laser tripwires, and heavy vault doors. All these things are little reminders that you're taking a risk, and they keep you on your toes. When you first walk into a bank and everything is quiet, there's this tense calm before the storm. But as soon as something goes wrong, all that calmness disappears, the alarm goes off, and chaos takes over. Suddenly, you're scrambling, and the whole mood of the place changes in an instant. The music ties it all together. When you start a heist, the soundtrack is barely there, a soft, steady beat that gets your pulse going. But the second the cops show up, the music ramps up fast. It becomes this intense, pounding rhythm that makes your heart race right along with it. The colors and sounds work together to make every mission feel like you're in your own action movie. Instead of just running around a map, you feel like you're starring in a heist film with strangers that have now become the lifelong heisters that you've known forever. The environment isn't just a backdrop in this game, it's what makes every heist feel urgent, exciting, and unforgettable. And you know what else is hard to forget? Failure. Failure in most shooters carries stigma and social cost. Died in a round of Counter-Strike? You're now a spectator of your team, forced to watch your teammates. Lose a clutch in Valorant? Your economy collapses. Payday reframes the failure we expect from games. Failed at stealth? The heist doesn't end. It mutates into a loud assault. Teammate downed and not revived? They don't respawn. They go to custody, a temporary state that lets the crew rally or trade blows. Drill jammed, fix it, and you're right back in the loop. This low-anxiety recovery structure lowers social fragility. Players feel safe to improvise and try risky plays because mistakes are merely new challenges. That shared capacity to recover from botched moments is where crews are forged. You don't resent the new player who triggered the alarm. You help survive the assault they just triggered because the narrative didn't collapse, it evolved, and you brought your stealth loadout for it. So in summary, Payday 2 doesn't simulate teamwork, it actually promotes dependency. The criminal dependency loop makes you reliant on strangers not for their presence, but for their functional contribution to the heist. Flow and conditioning lock you into the heist, while aesthetic design frames you as invaders sharing a mission. And the forgiving failure state lets you experiment without fear. Belonging in this system is not a byproduct of conversation over voice chat. It's the inevitable result of mutual necessity. You don't need a voice chat to feel like a crew when your survival literally depends on someone else placing down a doctor's bag or helping you carry the bags. Next time you're in a heist, watch the small decisions. Who gets the drill? Who drops a medic bag when nobody asked? Who takes on the medic bulldozers before they get too close? Those micro moments show how the strongest multiplayer experiences might not be about outplaying others, but about relying on them. Which other games do you think rely on design rather than competition? Let me know in the comments. Until then, keep those drills running and the cameras looping. I'm Eurus, and I still struggle to do Shadow Raid.